Good day. This is Tata Tranco Seva doing a viewer request video. The viewer wants to know about the spiritual cauldron. Does it exist? Does it work? First and foremost, I just want to say that I do not claim to have the absolute truth. With this being said, first let me say that the topic of the spiritual cauldron has always divided the religious community. Some say it exists, while others say it doesn't. Does the spiritual cauldron exist? In my opinion, yes, it does, but not in Palo Mayombe. It exists in Espiritismo. Two different worlds here. I don't want people saying, oh, Tata Tronco Seva said it exists in Palo. No, I said it exists, but in Espiritismo, not in Palo Mayombe. Now, first I must say that you have to be in tune, synchronized with your spiritual guide for this to even take place. So if you're the type of person that are in Espiritismo, but you're not in tune with your spirit, don't even try this, because you need to be in tune with your spiritual guide. For it's the spirit that must instruct you on what it is that he or she needs inside that cauldron in order for it to be able to help manifest spiritual works for you. That means not your godfather, nobody whatsoever can tell you what secrets go in that spiritual cauldron. There is no set manual. There's no set criteria like we have in Palo Mayombe when it comes to the cauldrons of what goes in there in the Espiritismo. This is something that, like I said, first and foremost, you must be in tune with your spiritual guide, because he or she is the only one that can instruct you on how to construct that spiritual cauldron. Now, let's talk about the difference between a spiritual cauldron and a Palo cauldron. First, a Palo cauldron takes patipimbas, sigils, and a spiritual cauldron does not. Different spirits. The Palo cauldron takes many more and extremely different secrets in it to begin with. The Palo cauldron, the spiritual cauldron does not have this because it's only a means for that Piritista spirit to come and enter that cauldron only when it needs to do spiritual works with that person. The rest of the time, it does not reside in there. While a Palo cauldron has a spirit which permanently resides in it. You see the difference? There, one only comes into that cauldron when it needs to work, manifest spiritual works. Then it exits, it leaves, while the other one permanently lives in the cauldron. Now, typically, a spiritual cauldron does not take blood sacrifices like the cauldrons in Palo Mayombe do. I know of a lot of people that break this, that they tend to feed their spiritual cauldrons blood, but to each his own. Now, instead, you can give the spiritual cauldron all types of fruit, flowers, rum, coffee, water, tobacco, candles, even things like perfume instead of blood. It's two different worlds here. So, also, a spiritual cauldron is intended only for the person which it was constructed for. You cannot do spiritual works for others like you can with a Palo cauldron. And this is something that also takes place on a daily basis. And then people wonder after a while how at first that cauldron was working for them, breaking down barriers, just helping them out. Then all of a sudden, after them trying to do spiritual works for other people, all of a sudden that cauldron does not do anything for them. Of course, because you're violating that pact. That cauldron is specifically constructed for you in mind and nobody else but you. Now, also, a spiritual cauldron you only work with one spirit, your personal spirit. While a Palo Cauldron, you can work with multiple spirits at a time. Hence, the different things, secrets that go in there. It's like the difference of night and day. Does the Spiritual Cauldron work? I know someone personally, an extremely good friend of mine. Outside of my bloodline, I consider him my next brother. That's how good friends we are. And he has a spiritual cauldron, and it has always resolved his issues and circumstances. Always. I mean, as long as I've known him, and I've known him for going on 20 years now. But again, my friend has such a connection with his spirit guide that it's almost scary. I mean, when this guy talks to you, you take it to heart. Now, I think this answers the viewers' questions. I want you to stay humble and be kind to one another. May Sami bless you and yours. And salam alaikum.